got him. They got him, boy. Peace, 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 peace. Yeah. Now they got brothers distracted with so much stuff, man. So funny. Yeah, they got people just distracted with nonsense. Nonsense. But you know how that goes. What happens? Yeah, man. Beautiful day, Friday. Jump on here doing my miles real fast. But tell y'all how they playing the Jedi mind trick on us. It's so funny too. People get caught up in the matrix. so much. Happens so much. Peace, Noble. But check this out, B. Let me tell you how they get us caught up in Negro-centric stuff. Just think about this real fast. When I say these adults can't really talk about the young people because the adults doing the same thing. I don't really talk about what's going on with things in the world, but I don't even think it's the world. It's a fake world to me. And it's these old hip hop artists so-called beefing. it's so funny to me, man. And I said, damn, these people 50. These, older than that. And the stuff is comical. And then we supported it. And I see people saying, this person won and this person kids snapped on some mama and this and that and the other. I said, this is niggardly behavior of a people. I said, this is so sad when that's the conversation of adults. Oh, did you hear T.I. son snap? Well, no, I don't want to hear that. And this is what I'll be saying, it's so much negative energy to have us, once again, choosing, picking sides on each other. And that's what we do. We always throw darts at each other. Instead of us being greats with the S, we only gonna have one because we'll take each other out. I always say this. I said, see how they take us off the mission? Our own people always do something stupid when they talk about peace and they talk about unity. And then you will see what happens. Anybody will sell out for what? Notoriety. You see? And we won't talk about no other group of people but our own. You see what I'm saying? With all due respect to everyone, I say, man, this is poison. When I tell people this is genocide, what? Look what we're doing to each other. I'm seeing grown people, Noble Brian, grown people like, yeah, T.I. them sons snap on 50 Cent, and dead mama, and this, that, and the other. I'm like, man, this is goofy. I'm like, this is goofy. But once again, that's how they do, and they make money off Negroes. Because here it is. This is what's going on. And so it ain't no brother man against the other man or the government or whatever. Look at it. It's competition. It's brother against brother every time. And now you got a group of people picking sides. This is sad. This is sad, y'all. I'm sorry, Noble B. This is sad. It's just we just had a sad state. And we doing this for ratings and other grown people talking about it. Like it's some real beef. Like beef, man, we talk about two rich men. Like this stuff is goofy. And that's what they throw in our faces and the kids' faces. And then we try to say we better. How? Look at the image that we have with each other. Some animals. Because look, we can't even get along. We can't be greats with the S. We already got to attack our own brother. That's genocide. That's crazy. Talk about some art of war. We should be trying to demonstrate no art of war against our own brothers. We should be demonstrating a different type of understanding. Because we shouldn't be at war with each other. We should be in unity. People done lost their marbles. People done lost their marbles. I said, this is what we're going to push. This is what adults are going to be talking about. This is the energy we're going to put out in the atmosphere. This crap. And all these social media outlets, this what they talk about. That's why I say, man, this stuff is crazy. This stuff is crazy. With all due respect, this stuff is crazy. Even the fake podcast channels that be having all these people on there with that fake stuff, that's crazy too. It's shit like you're supposed to be responsible for screening people coming on your shows, giving this out to the public to make sure it ain't no fraud. None, like you are responsible. You're supposed to be responsible for that. Those are ethics. Those are things that's supposed to be done. Nobody should be able to come on a podcast and talk some of the most outlandish, stupid, criminal stuff. That's the only thing that's shared on social media now. Is that and brothers going against each other. I'm telling you, you got the scammers. They talk about they can fix your credit and give you credit. You got all those. I can do this and all this and all this. You got the whatever people call themselves, some Moorish consulate, all that, generals and Moroccan generals. And then you got this hip hop is crazy stuff. You got the crazy girls fighting each other all day on social media. With all due respect. And then the adults do it. Because now we're looking at 50 Cent and T.I. beef, so-called, on the internet. And people that don't even know these individuals is picking sides and making statements on this situation. I said, man, we easily distracted over some stupid ass, excuse my candor, hip hop over two men that nobody should care for. And people making statements about these grown, rich people for ratings. Because it ain't making our pockets bigger. It just shows you how easy that the misnomer black man is wooed. How? When they throw things in your face. And what? We pick it up. Because look, you know, that's all I'll be saying, man. We got to start doing things right and standing on it. Because it's crazy. That's all I say, brothers and sisters. It's crazy. Ain't nobody coming into no misnomer urban community doing nothing to brothers. Like you go to a neighborhood, brothers they willing to bite your head off. They get a gun and say, I'm finna go rob a NIGA. I do it, and I don't see no other energy toward nothing. Lord forbid, that's not what I'm here to promote. But I'm just saying the energy towards your own brother when you're thinking in the lower self. When you in the lower self, the first enemy you approach is your brother. You approach your brother with so much anger and spite. And I'll be like, why? Alaikum salam. I'll be like, why? If I tell people I respect everybody, I respect everybody's spirituality. I operate on peace. And if brothers operate on peace, that's all I got for you. I don't have nothing else. I'm not gonna argue over no hadith. I'm not gonna argue over what Islam you represent or nothing. Because there's only one science. I deal with scholarship, but as your brother, man, I could care less about all that if your heart is not right. If your heart is not pure, if you're not standing on what you say, you standing on, all the recitals, all the outward things is meaningless. You know? Same to you, man, Noble. May the benefit of Allah continue to illuminate, protect, guide, and strengthen all your endeavors, you and your family, and all. I give love and honor and peace right back at you, Noble. Inshallah. Right back at you, Noble. Amen. But when I do my travels, man, And a lot of people be like, why? Well, I wouldn't say why. It's just brothers that's stand on what we stand on. We're not popular per se because we're not operating on a gimmick. And so what I'm saying, man, is the image. They putting an image out here, man, that certain brothers under a certain spiritualness is gangster this, is gangster this, gangster that. That's not it. That's not the image. I'm telling you, that is not the image. When I always say, you must compare and contrast and types, just like it's type of men, it's type of women, it's the types. Everything is a type, and you must judge accordingly. Not just, man, brothers. I mean, we got to do way more. Even with our studies, when we bring a divine message to our brothers and sisters, and we try to put a cap on the wisdom. When I say put a cap on the wisdom, coming from the origin and be able to stand. Because I tell everyone, I love everyone. I love everyone. Everyone do the 5 salats, that's fine. But I do the al salat. I understand tradition. Believe me, I do. But anything outside of myself is true shirk. I operate under the triple rose. I'm tasawwuf with all respect. I have a clear understanding of all the religious rites. The Fatimid, the Paraclete, the Jerusalem, the Christian. I have a clear understanding. And I'm transparent. So I will never stand in front of you and say brotherhood is something to be frowned upon. We don't take oath. Are we initiated? Yes. When you're initiated through the wisdom, it's just like you have your elders and you going through martial arts and you go through the degrees, the gulps. And then when you get a black belt, now you're ready to learn. That's a form of initiation. That's a form of discipline. That's a form of a system. If you want to go through that particular discipline, just like academia, same thing. And then when you get to the level of scholar, of what? Of a religious scholar, when you base things on peer-reviewed scholarly research and you do the real research and we deal with the origin. If we're talking about philosophy of religion, we have to talk about philosophy of religion and stay in context. So it's so many tools that must be used when you're teaching, no matter how you believe. Why? Because we operate on the system. And everybody have to understand that. Some may not know. And I tell everybody don't have access to certain books and certain historical things that prove this. Some may just recite. Some may not study. Some may not even know about the Nabatan Library. Some may not know. And so when you're able to be in a house of education, in the museum, per se, you would be able to what? Receive certain instructions. When I tell brothers, yes, you may be sincere, but you can be sincerely wrong. Why? If your ism or whatever you're promulgating is at a certain level. Because like I tell my brothers and sisters with love, I can put the Bible and the Quran together. Only people lost because of a linguistic a mistake. With all true facts. I already done lectured this a plethora of times. And when I connect it, when I synchronize it, it fits like this. And everybody know. If we willing to teach truth and not base it on what man say, not base it on fictitious things, not base it on, well, we believe, no, with all due respect, and such and such taught us this, and such said this. That's fine. What such and such said. But if it's law, it'll be where it need to be. It won't be just tradition, with all due respect. That's why I tell everyone, before I speak, I said, I'm not Orthodox. I love all my religious brothers because I have to, because I have a clear understanding. I never diss my 12 African spirits. I deal with all that, the Orisha, the Santeria, the Eligua, the Crossroads, all of our sciences. Why? Because we should. And things be connotated to other things. When you look in biblical scriptures, I always show people the magic in the biblical scriptures. And I connect and I synchronize it to our culture. And you'd be like, oh, I can put it on the puzzle. I can put it just like this. So I don't come from any disrespectful place. I come from a place to be like, okay, well, let's look at this. Let's compare and contrast this. Have you touched this? Have you read this? And sometimes we may have not. And so that's when I come back with the whole idea of what we putting out here, man. As brothers, as men. I mean, this stuff is not hard. With all due respect to all my brothers and sisters, man, we don't have religion forever. But, which is all good. But who are we? Who are we? And we should be able to agree historically and today as modern to resurrect ourselves to the state that we were before we were tampered with. And at least to agree on some things that we can research and be like, boom, 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 which was precedent. You can be like, damn, you can go back in 1985 and see the mayor signed the Declaration of Proclamation in Atlanta saying that Moors XYZ. So these are not things that's not precedented. These are things that's precedent. And then you can start researching a little deeper. You can go to the city hall. It's in the record books. What were Negro, Black, and colored called before the Civil War? Moors. You know, with all due respect, it's certain things that's precedent. But we can't. It's for us to understand, to agree, to get some other things done. And this is all I share with brothers and sisters. I said, man, I love everybody. I love spirituality because I'm able to speak in all houses. I just come from a perspective of understanding. You know, that's all. But when people always ask me something specific about reparations and things, I say, man, listen, that's a dead question when you asking that, when you identify as Negro, Black, and colored, and African American. There's nothing civil about those words. There's no form of nation that can be built on that. And so it's just a few things that need to be understood. Even with like I tell brothers, man, like I just think a lot of us haven't studied far enough to bring a lot of the godness in your science out, because the Islam I'm under is peace. The Islam, when I say coming together, standing up in the rise, the Al Salat, with all due respect. When I say perfect penta, when I say arm, leg, arm, head, with all due respect. With all due respect. And I can show what I'm speaking on in the Quran, you know, without a shadow and a doubt. And so everybody try to put us in the box, and I say, man, historically, whatever you want to call it, worldwide, you can't just say everybody is this people. Then you totally off, because you haven't even went to Europe and seen your own kind. You can go to Europe and see your own kind. So when everybody be talking about religion and things, I say, okay, well, what religion you talking about? Your ancestors, things ancestral, that with your medicine man it is, or something that was brought to you from someone that looked like you? What you talking about to me? Because If you're talking about something that was brought to you from something different, then we're not talking about your foremothers and forefathers. We're talking about conversion then, you know. And when did the conversion happen? You know, it's just like a lot of things I talk about that the Catholic Church have, like the Sibyls. You can read. It's a book called The Sibyls about the mommy water. And when I talk about certain things in history, how they change it, like the god Artemis, they take it and make it white. They whitewash it. It's a lot of historical things that a lot of people miss, no matter what religion you are. You miss the historicalness of what's being demonstrated in these so-called historical times. That you miss the culture. You miss all the history of what I'm talking about. Everything, what I'm saying is all wrapped up in history. Guaranteed. And that's not common for us, you know. Even with all the, like I tell brothers and sisters, I said, man, I love everybody. I always have to say that because I know a lot of people just don't have access to different manuscripts. And when you have these manuscripts that's older than, say, your religious book, and you read these manuscripts and you look at your religious book, you'll be like, well, I'll be like, yeah, with all due respect. I give you an analogy. I give you a situation, just like the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon is plagiarized from another book called View of the Hebrews. I mean, I'm sorry. What you mean, Sheik? Yeah, I just told you the Book of Mormon is mostly plagiarized by a book called View of the Hebrews. I lecture this in academia at GCU. That's like the Jehovah's Witness book, with all due respect. During that time when Rudolph was in Detroit, he was another figure in Detroit. People might know who I'm talking about, but I tell people I'm just a historian, and I have access to things from firsthand. And during these times, certain teachings sound similar to a lot of the teachings that these group of Muslims was promulgating, you know, and you know, in my city, in Detroit. And as I'm doing research, as a lot of my connections, I see a lot of the stuff is similar. I see a lot of the historical stuff, like the square mile of the world and all this stuff, come from the world almanacs. A lot of things you could be like, oh, you can cross-reference when you're doing the scholarship, you know, and it goes on both sides. It goes on both sides when you're doing the research. When you're doing the real research, you will see certain figures. You will see why pictures will be zoomed in instead of showing everyone. Because when you zoom in on the picture, you don't know if somebody was cut out from the picture. And so the focus will only be on the four corners. And so in that four corners, if I close it in, I can take a certain figure out. But if you pull that figure back out, it's a brother in that picture. It's a brother in that picture. And I always wondered why that picture was pulled in and not showing the brother until I had to really, really, really do my own research. Because in a lot of the pictures that you pull up on social media in these places, he's not in the picture because it's zoomed out. You see the so-called brother, they say not him, with the two FBI agents behind. But you don't see the whole picture. And when you blow the whole picture up, do y'all know who the brother standing next to him is? With all due respect. Do anybody know? I don't know if anybody catch what I'm talking about, because I'm trying to be so respectful. But when people try to act like they don't know, I said, how you following something you don't know? and everything is a mystery. That don't even make sense. You know? And so we're talking about a time in Detroit. So when I be speaking of historical things and putting time stamps on things, not to argue with no one, but to be like, I don't care what level of degree you have. If you're coming from a religious perspective, then what you teaching is compromised. With all due respect, because a lot of times people come from that religious perspective instead of history. It's like if you was teaching to a group of people. I'm not teaching or trying to convert anyone to no religion. I may be giving a lecture on a specific topic historically, but I'm not here to convert anyone. I'm here to illuminate things to you, where you can have something to compare to. And so I always do both sides. Once you begin to study, it's like I tell misnomer Black people. A lot of people was upset with what I'm saying, but I was able to do this in academia. I say, Kwanzaa is just a Black lie, just as this fairy, the tooth fairy, is the so-called white lie. Kwanzaa originated by a COINTELPRO named Ron Karenga. He tortured women, everything, set the Panthers up. And so when people be talking, I said, dude, I'm not going to have an argument with no one picking figures. I said, if we're going to do things, we're going to do things justly. We're not going to let anyone tell us what we should believe and how we should believe, or something outside of ourselves. I understand if you believe in that, because that's just like the so-called Christian. They believe that they're going to go somewhere. A lot of Muslim brothers say they're going to have this, that when they go there. I'm like, hey, okay, well, but the text don't say that. The text don't say that. And so when we deal with all these white lies, we can't disperse a white lie per se and then gravitate to a Black lie and say, oh, we all come from Africa on some root stuff. And I said roots is fake. And people be like, what you mean? I just told you, roots is fake. And people don't understand what I'll be saying. I've lectured this. Roots come from a European named Harold Colander. He have a book called The African. All that stuff is Eurocentric propaganda. And then you can go on YouTube and see these misnomer Black people talking about Kunta Kinte as their ancestor. So you just get on TV and lie to children like that and try to promulgate that every misnomer Black people come from some African slaves. And that's straight up cap, as the kids say. That's cap. That's cap. That's pseudo. That's fake. And they let us roll with it. These are things that we need to be bringing our children back and be like, wait a minute, for real, Ma? Yes. That's like Willie Lynch. The Willie Lynch letter is fake. It's no Willie Lynch letter. Any rapper rapped about some Willie Lynch propaganda. If it was a Willie Lynch letter, tell them go get it. Tell them go to the Library of Congress and get it, because it ain't one. That's propaganda. I lectured that in college. Showed them where it came from. Showed them who made it up. Said, hell, let these Negroes have this. They'll believe anything. Sure enough. And I love people. But the first time misnomer Black people heard of some Willie Lynch was at the Million Man March. With all due respect. With all due respect. We just breaking historical facts down. And I'm telling you, ain't no such thing as no Willie Lynch. Not in that time period. Nobody in history, no slave owner, Frederick Douglass, nobody wrote about no Willie Lynch. It wasn't no Willie Lynch. That's propaganda. And that's Negrocentric and Eurocentric propaganda. And they put that out there on misnomer Black people to try to what? Enslave the mental after the so-called 13th Amendment freed you with all the sections. And this is what I tell people. I say, listen, I'm not here to argue with what your belief system is. Because a lot of people believe in a lot of things. It's like when I show people my attire, everything that I have on, like this is a bonnet. Some Muslim call it a kufi, but the followers of Yahshua wore a bonnet. The Levites, they all wore a bonnet. They wore a tunic, cotton or silk with the girdle. When you look in the lexicon, they had beards and earrings. And then the high priest, when you see me with my turban, the high priest wore turbans with the jewel on it. It's right in your biblical scripture. All the high priests in the biblical scripture wore turbans with the jewel in it. Then I can show you peace. And then I can show you historical stuff of who we are in misnumbered black times wearing turbans. And our own people don't understand because they erased it in history. Y'all look at all the European Masons, J. Edgar Hoover, and all those people, you can pull them up, and all those presidents that was Masons. Look at the writing on their fez. Peace, niece. Peace, Yasmin. Look at the writing on their fez. It'd be Islam, Mecca, Arabia. Why you think it says that? Because they're sons of Muslims. I'm telling y'all, man, like, we got to wake up. Nobody can do nothing to you but your own kind. Y'all better listen to me and listen clearly to what I'm saying. See, I can speak like this. Why? Because I'm 99 degrees. An ancient writer, Memphis and Mizraim, Free Morris Wright. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you, all my professors, well, like at least 6 of them are Scottish Rite Masons. And they all will tell you out their mouth that they sons of a Muslim. And they all understand the truth. I'm telling you what I'm saying. But our own brothers and sisters would call themselves a widow son or call themselves a Greek god. Why? And won't tell you what's going on. And won't tell you that they pentagram, especially my empresses that call yourself an Eastern Star, because I love you. But see, I can talk like this. You know, God dang well that your pentagram is turned. It's not arm, leg, arm, head. And you are under the DAR, which is the Daughters of American Revolution, that came up with the marriage license, which is a third-party contract. See, I can speak like this. I'm telling you, it's like a Scooby-Doo trick. When you pull the wool off the mask, and you think it's the janitor, you pull it off again, it's your own brother. Because they're the only ones that can take an oath and not tell you the truth and be right in the pulpit, yapping their mouths. With all due respect, I know a brother that went to Northern with me. He was a minister in Flint. He in Saginaw now. He a preacher and a Mason. He a preacher and a Freemason. So I'm like, so you teaching something different in the lodge than in your so-called church? Because the Bible says we don't take no oath. See, we a brotherhood, we don't take no oath. People don't catch what I be saying. You initiated through the wisdom. So what you teaching something different? And that's what I be saying, man. How? Because then these brothers call themselves a widow son when you a Mason, when you a Prince Hall Mason. And how you take an oath to a man? How some man gonna give you the light? This is what I be saying. I be like, man, y'all don't see this? Y'all don't see this in your eyes when they try to play this color game, and it ain't no color game. That's old, ain't no color game. Why? Because the Creator created all of us. They're trying to come with that religion. They come up with some religious and belittle what the Creator has created. We're not operating on that. It's our own kind that do this. Nobody else have the power to sit down and talk to you and bring you some bull crap, but your own people. Because ain't nobody else teaching this but our own people that took an oath not to tell the truth. It's just what it is. I'm telling you. And how can all my European colleagues that Scottish Rite Masons know what I'm talking about? And when I talk to my Mason brothers and I say, well, why you won't teach the young babies and the young girls in your community about the Osiris mysteries? Why you don't teach us to bring all the young nobles up? What's so special? Because if this the science, then all you got to do is come to me. I'll reveal all the keys, the rose and the cross, everything. It's no secret. That's what I be telling people. It's no secret. and we can use one manual, and you can cross-reference whatever you want to do. But when we're dealing with this historical science, we can't be afraid. We can't be afraid to use both of those tools and magnify them. I'm telling y'all, man, it's a lot of stuff that's wrapped up in masonry, with all due respect to my Masonic brothers, that a lot of people don't know. And when I tell people I'm part of the Philosophical Research Society, you know, I had the pleasure to study there, be a member there for years, do a lot of research from there. It's a lot of information that I see our people, and I have to say it, has tried to bury. You know, and it's nobody else's job to bring these out but people that look like us. You know, that's why they always act like they discovered something. You ain't just discovered something that's been there in personal museums forever. You're just bringing them out in certain times. That's why this distraction is going, y'all, and y'all don't see it. Y'all missing it. These people worried about some T.I. and some damn 50 Cent. I said, y'all don't see what's going on in the world? What you mean, Sheik? Okay. Y'all don't see what's going on in the world. If you don't see what's going on in the world, there's something wrong with you. We missing out. That's all I'm saying. We missing out. So when I speak your things, man, I'm speaking things I was able to see. I'm like, oh, it's just like when I talk about the Willie Lynch and when I talk about roots, they try to teach your kids this stuff in school. I'm talking about they try to teach kids this stuff and have them watching some Roots as required learning. I had to tell a professor, I said, this Negro-centric propaganda. But what do you mean? My professor was like, if he can prove it, you can't get upset. I proved it. I said, this all is Negro-centric propaganda. Negro-centric and Eurocentric propaganda. And I came with scholarship. It's nothing no one can say. They do that to us and give us those fake narratives. And everybody said, well, that's still us. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. You see what I'm saying, y'all? And we say the children are the future. How the children the future and the parents not bold enough to speak like this? And when you ask a person what do they think kumbaya mean, they'll say come by here. And I say, why? Why do you say that? Well, that's because what Big Mama said. That's because I heard. And I said, I know, because you ain't researching it. So you will say the same thing over and over, repeat the same dead science, not even taking a tittle to really see what the kum, the ba, and the ya really mean. And so we teach our kids the same lie, the same misunderstanding, and then stand on it and be yelling, slobbing at the mouth. And then when somebody show you something and say, did you take the time to research what you're talking about? No. And they show you. Now what? Because kumbaya means stand up and arise. If you take the time to research what I'm saying, it means stand up and arise. The kum, the ba, and the ya. Stand up and arise. So when people be talking about they speak this language and this and that and the other, and I say, I understand. But speaking a specific language is not contingent on that heart. I don't give a damn what language you speak. It ain't contingent on the love for Allah, the love for the Creator, the love for people, the peace you have. It ain't speaking a different language. It ain't contingent on that. Because whatever name you pray, Allah understand. These is facts. These is facts, man. You see what I'm saying? So the love that we should be teaching our brothers is the what? The love for when man and the Creator come together. A perfect pentagram, standing, arm, leg, arm, head, with all his extremities, upright, in no shallow grave, not buried in a shallow grave, you know, by Jabal, Jablum, and Jablim, which is in your Bible. See, that's the analogy that the Mason brothers won't tell you. Who's buried in that shallow grave? Haram Abith, the misnomer Asiatic black man. You'll understand it. I'm bringing you back whole and intact with your mental. It's in your biblical scriptures. It's in your biblical scriptures. Research it. And that's one of the symbologies or the analogies that's in masonry. When I show you the tomb, when I show you the Akasa leaf, that's only indigenous to the continent of Africa, I'm showing you the pictorial. I'm showing you. And our brothers is not telling you. They're not telling you. I'm telling you. That's why I said, man, no, this is our birthright. That's why I stand strong with my understanding. I don't hate no man, but I say, brother, I hear you, but you're not going to come with that low wisdom to me. You're not going to come with no 32 degrees of snowman wisdom in meteorology when water freeze. I understand what you're saying, but you're not coming to me with that. With all due respect. With all due respect. Because I know the wisdom is limited. It's a tittle. And on that Masonic table is all the holy books I speak on. And then when you hear some, and I'm not saying all, I've heard a lot of so-called Prince Hall Mason dudes when I say, well, what are y'all studying? Well, if the student got to be into that if you want to learn about that. I said, what? I said, what type of goofy stuff is that? I said, that sounds childish. If the student got to be into studying who he is to be into that in the lodge. I said, man, go on, man. So you have brothers come in the lodge and go through all this stuff, and they still don't know, and they still come out as a widow son. They still come out as a widow son, not a son of a Muslim. They come out as a widow son. Like that to me is crazy, brothers and sisters. And you ain't ever thought about that? With all due respect. That's why I say I love my brothers. But come on, brothers. If we ain't gonna stand up for truth, what's the purpose? Because all my European, Scottish Rite Mason brothers that I met at GCU, they understand the Osiris mysteries. And they all sons of Muslims. Every last one. And with my empresses, especially the ones that say they're an Eastern Star, you know God blame low that you under the DAR and act like you don't know what I'm talking about. The Daughters of American Revolution. Because everywhere I'm going, I was just at the fight, and the lady came right up to me. She was like, "Peace, Sheik." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." With all due respect. And I'm telling you, it's the truth. They all have a certain mannerism. It's just what it is. And when I speak of these things, and I say, well, what's the Daughters of American Revolution? Well, what you mean? I said, you research it and tell me. And then you come back to me, and we can have a conversation. It ain't just our brothers. It's our brothers and sisters. I'm telling you what it is, with all due respect. All you got to do is research what I'm saying. Research the DAR, the Daughters of American Revolution, and tell me what color fez they have on with the white one. And tell me, is that the same fez that our misnomer empresses, the Eastern Stars? And then you're going to start seeing what I'm talking about. And then I start breaking down the history and show you how not only our Masonic brothers, but our Masonic sisters act like they don't know what I'm talking about. It's just like when the Masonic brothers' tassel is pinned down. That means their wisdom can't flow freely. They're only stuck at base wisdom. They're only stuck at 360 degrees base wisdom. These are facts. And that's why I'm telling you what I'm telling you. It's just what it is, man. We have to love our people so much to tell the truth and stand on it. And a lot of our people, they can't. They can't stand on it. You know, like I said, I love everyone. I love everyone. But I know a lot of our people don't understand when I tell people, research Steve Coakley when he talk about the Boule. Research Steve Coakley, with all due respect. You can't get mad at me. Research George G.M. James' book, Stolen Legacy, when he tell you Greek history is nothing but watered down Egyptian history. Research in your Bible that Moses was learned in all of the mystery schools of Egypt. So all he could teach Aaron is what he knows. Egyptian science, with all due respect. With all due respect. So when people be coming, acting crazy and act like they don't know, This be our only people that we say heavy. Oh, he a Mason. Oh, he a fraternity. Oh, he a preacher. Okay, well, most of these old preachers is Masons. How about that? All you gotta do is look on the back of their car. I'll be laughing. I'll be like, man, this man is a Mason. Getting up there talking some of the most outlandish stuff. Because if they don't have the Osiris mysteries, which I know they do, I'll tell you they playing the game. I'm telling you, they playing the game. And there's some brothers that's Scottish Rite Masons that know exactly what I'm talking about. That know exactly, specifically what I'm talking about. And they have to be quiet in the church rat because I got their charter and they know it. It's all the Osiris mysteries, brothers and sisters. That Fez represents, in one context, that Fez represent the Empress, the birth cycle. That gold tassel represents the mundane ball, the birth cycle. It represents you, the tassels, the string, the navel, the umbilical cord, all perforation for symbology. It represents you, Empress. It represents you. And then in another context, it represents wisdom and understanding. Just like when you graduate, you get that hex alpha, that square. It's just like that Fez is. You see? I could put the Fez and the graduation cap in together, and they both 360 degrees, just different parameter when I'm using my tools. Or I can just make a square, line down the middle, boom, 90, 90, 90, 90. Or I can do that same square, a little square on the top, little square in the corner, little square in the corner, 90, 90, 90, right? I could take that circle, whoop, whoop, 90, 90, 90, both 360 degrees. I can take the so-called, you think it's the swastika, and do the same thing as well. Because the swastika is indigenous. You can go in the continent of Africa and Egypt and all that and see it on the pyramids. Yeah. See what I'm saying, Yasmin? Peace. This what we need to be learning. This is what we need to be having to come and tell people like, no, man, you're not gonna come with that stuff to get these kids all mixed up on the wrong path. And then they be all hurt and be afraid to tell that they've been hazed instead of brought up with wisdom. I'm telling y'all, man, with all due respect, it's time for us to rise up, right? It's time for us to rise up, man. Because I can come from all the hadith, the Sufi hadiths. I can come from all perspectives of spirituality, of a higher self, even in a Jewish text. I mean, even with Kemetic principles, even with history, and just different. All I say, man, is we gotta love each other, man. And we gotta, it ain't nobody can come in our cipher and do nothing to us. It's our people that's in the cipher that got us subjugated, been had us subjugated. We call those people gatekeepers. And y'all know who they are. Anyone that'll confuse you and won't tell the truth is a gatekeeper. Any brother that's saying a message and then took an oath and preaching something totally different than what they took an oath to is a gatekeeper. I'm telling you, it's just what it is. And now if we know people that's doing these things, I ask everyone, why are we still partaking in those things? You know, because I thought we wanted to know, I thought we wanted to be able to make a sound decision, not based on what someone is telling us. I thought people wanted documents and research to be like, man, if I had this, or if I knew this, I wouldn't feel this way. And it's not for you to feel a certain way. It's for you to understand. It's for you to add value to, because it's a lot that it's a lot that's been shoved down our brothers and sisters' throats, historically, academically, religiously, language-wise, finance-wise. And I tell people, man, it's so easy to do things as a unit and have a storehouse, but we haven't been educated on it. And so then people throw, how can I say, little pebbles at us. Like, I'm always talking about everything, and I'm sorry, but I have to. because we only do this to ourselves. We the only group of people that be coming and thinking you're gonna make some whole bunch of money so fast. I'm telling you, and don't know the language, and I be telling people that's a Ponzi scheme, that's a pyramid scheme. They be like, what? I said, dude, I know about all this stuff. A lot of this stuff people be it's payola. When I break words down, I be telling people to research what I'm saying. Payola. A lot of these people just resurface. It's a brother that used to be on YouTube. His name was JT Pocket Watchers, and he was a financial certified. And he used to let all them people come on the show to try to defend their plight, and all of my scam artists. When I said, this stuff is crazy. We the only group of people that do this stuff to each other. With all due respect. I asked people, do they know who Bernie Madoff is? Then they research him, and I said, these people not even as smart as Bernie Madoff. When I be saying that these podcasters is guilty because they haven't screened none of these goofball Negroes that they have on their shows with all that fake outlandish, I'm getting off the jet, this fake life to people, that's payola. They should just tell those people that those are infomercials, but they don't. They get people caught up in this fictitious life, and they use these podcasters, to promulgate this fake stuff to people, to our kids and all that, and it gives a fake image. We the only group of people that do that. We the only group of people that do that. We the only group of people that have seminars, and instead of having people that's real business people, entrepreneurs and all that, we have ex-basketball players like Magic, with all due respect, actors like Steve Harvey that come speak. But they claim the fame was off acting. They wasn't no true business people until they made the money doing something different. And so when I be saying, I'll be like, man, look, we have to stop the facade. This is all I'm saying, y'all. I said, we doing this to our own kind. And I see it every day. It's somebody new on the internet every day saying they can help you with their credit. And you can, and this the language. We only got a couple slots left. It used to be $900. Now it's discounted to $99. Like, man, and it's some automated stupid stuff. And you're going to go down the rabbit hole so far. And everybody know what I be talking about. And all that time and energy you wasted on that, we can be doing something real together. People can be donating, getting the tackles every seat, and we can be learning how to really, if you really want to do some investments, you get a crew of people. And y'all watch, and y'all invest in a couple stocks or whatever y'all want to invest in. And y'all watch it as a collective with people that's into that. Y'all, people can put a couple grand into something, and then it won't hurt each one because that individual is not putting it all in. And people can watch it, and that's what you want to do, and learn as a collective. But when people be coming with these scams, I'll be like, well, what you making? And so that's all I'll be telling us, man. I just hope we get into a place where we start sharing wisdom, man. Like I said, Sunday, we're going to have a good Sunday school. Saturday, we're going to have a good adapt class. I'm going to talk about a super consciousness and your subconsciousness and how to think and reason and understand and manifestation. Because like I said, I respect everyone's ism. I respect everyone's spirituality, religion, whatever it is, because I have a clear understanding. But once again, I understand for myself, I understand this magic. And like I tell people, I understand what you do and what you don't understand, but I understand this hoodoo. I do my hoodoo every single day. I don't mind speaking of it. I don't mind praying to my ancestors. I don't mind giving honor to all the law and the prophets. I don't mind operating in peace. I don't mind doing this thing every single day. I don't turn my back on my culture. So when I speak of things, this is the power that this is the vigor. This is the resurrection that brothers and sisters need, especially these young kids, man. Especially if they're going through things, if they fatherless. I'm telling you, I'm a father to so many kids. That's what I be telling people, use me. We have our own big brothers and big sisters. We're at our temple. The parents can be like, okay, well, you dropping them off at the temple while you at work. Summertime, they coming to us. They learn and going swimming, learn how to be self-sufficient, learn in martial arts. You know what I'm saying? Learn how to garden, all that stuff. learning boxing, where all that stuff in the temple, learning how to be self-sufficient, learning how to balance checkbooks, all this stuff they get. Understand and know how to work with their hands if they want to learn auto mechanics, if they want to learn computer programming, all these things, but have men, and we be missing it. And I'll be asking these women and even these men that may not have time or just not into their children like that. I say, well, who was your child's mentor? Oh man, none. I said, that's the problem. I was just at the school with my mama, man. She'll tell you, lady been calling me for the last 3 days. Just amazed. It was like, your library is extensive. She was like, I can't believe you have all these expensive books converted to this, not and the other. And her son is, special need with autistic, whatever they think. But a lot of our young men have a certain detachment when they seen a lot of things, and their fathers might be in jail, or they might have seen their mama getting beat up, or whatever it may be. Whatever it may be. But I'm telling y'all, what I know in my field, it make a difference when them young men see men like me. I'm telling you, that really, really care for them, that really talk to them, that's really dependent. Parents need that. Parents need that ally, especially if they got boys. I'm telling y'all. And I be telling parents, you would pay for everything else, but you won't put the same donation of work for your son to have a big brother that'll spend time with him a couple of days out the week, that'll show him things, that'll be able to take them. The same way if I was working for the state or a company, your kid might be on my caseload, I'll be doing the same thing with another company. That, like I'll be telling, I said, we don't even be thinking. We won't even be thinking. And I tell people, I said, we have the money. We just not spending it on the right thing. What? For the success and the growth of our baby, especially if we know this. Especially if we know this. Kids need that. Kids need that ally. Especially young men, they need someone to talk to. They need someone that they can depend on, that they can talk to, especially if they don't have no male figure in their household. They need that. And the parents and the mom should seek that out, especially if it's available. Here it is, I'm in Michigan, and a lady worked for the school district. She was like, will you be here in the summer? She's like, I got a whole caseload for you. She's like, I'm in the mom's group with all the kids that's on that level. She's like, I got a whole caseload for you, son, if you're willing to come back and do this on your own. And this is what I'll be telling people. It only take one person. It only take one person. And I'm talking to the parents, and I'm showing them history, prehistory on both levels from no biasness, and the parents are amazed. One and the teacher, the lady that worked for the Flint School District, she just was like, I'm just so baffled. She like, as you speaking, I'm looking this stuff up. I'm hurt in a way. And she was like, here it is, it's Misnomer Black History Month when I said it. Because I was just breaking simple things down. I'm like, isn't black an adjective? She like, yes. So I said, you got on the black shoe, you got on the red shoe, you got on the purple shoe. I said, you don't have on the purple, you don't have on the black. I said, you have a black shoe. Black is describing the hue or the color of the shoe, but they're all shoes. Just like in Spanish, negrito mean black. And so as I'm breaking small things down, building up to where I was getting to historically, things that you can look up, they was amazed. I showed them the 1828 Webster Dictionary. I said, what is an American? They like, I don't know. I said, look up the 1828 Webster Dictionary. Lady stood up. The copper color races found here by the Europeans. She like, huh? I said, copper color races. And I said, found here. You can't find nothing that's already native to this land. Copper color races. They like, oh my God. I said, yes. It was more I could have went to, but I just wanted to leave a light bulb moment and put a light bulb on some things. I shared a couple expensive books like Forgotten Cause of the Civil War. When I'm lecturing on the college campus, I always share these books at the end. And the students like, that book $1,000. And I hold the book up. A lot of them get it from me, ebook, or I print it for them. Book costs $1,000. It's another book called Melanin, The Chemical Key to Black Greatness. That book is $1,000. It's another book called Atlantis of Their Latter Days. It's a little Masonic book, but most of our lower level makes you think it's high sciences. All it is the Osiris mysteries. And I offer these books, I lecture this stuff. And that's why I'm telling my people, we're the only group of people that'll keep ourselves subjugated. And I'll be trying to introduce the keys to bring us up collectively, to show us who we are as a people all over. Just like Lewis and Clark. When I told y'all, they pinpointed their holdings. Just like David McRitchie, he wrote a book called The Ancient and Modern Britons, 2 volumes. Bertram Thomas wrote the book The Arab, telling you who the ancient Arab is. Vladimir Dale, a scholar, a German scholar, Russian scholar, he wrote a dictionary telling you what the true Arab is, A-R-A-P. So I just be here to resurrect my people and say, wait a minute, man. Scholars agree with what I'm saying. And I challenge everyone to get the book One World Tartarians. That's another historical book that you should have. And all y'all got to do is get with me. I'll give you these ebooks. I'll give you a couple books as a gift on the house. I'm telling you. And you have all the stuff on your tablet. Or I'll print it and bind it for you for a small fee. Or you can have Office Max and Staple do it. And that's how you build your library. Because a lot of stuff is in Gnostic libraries, like in Oxford and Harvard and the Royal Archives. A lot of stuff is in the Philosophical Research Society. And then a lot of stuff is just in private people libraries. Stuff that's been passed down. So, yeah, man. Just like when I talk about the Nabatan Library, and people be like, what? And I show a lot of people, I'll be like, well, this comes from this, and this comes from this. Just like a lot of ancient so-called Jewish texts, with all respect, I'll start cross-referencing it, showing people, but like, you see this here, and then the person have to calm down and be like, okay, I see. And I'm like, I know. That's why I say a lot of people just recite. It's a different from recital and study. It's just like a lot of people do things traditionally instead of what's law, tradition. I don't operate on tradition. I'm not Orthodox. I tell everybody that I have no problem with anyone. But just hollering at y'all when I'm getting my walk on. Got to get my lift on. Do this every day, man. But family, I'm telling you, man, the brick and mortar is coming. The community center is coming, man. We're going to be able to operate off all donations and everybody get a taxes and receipt. Nobody life will change. And we'll have something. I'm telling you. And everybody have a resource. I'm talking about it's a brand new state-of-the-art library in Vegas. They have like podcast studio, recording studio, all that etc. Those are some of the same things I want to have in my temple and school in my community center. To where, yeah, the parents don't get off of work in the summer, but the kids do. They need to be coming to the temple from this time to this time, working on skills, all this stuff. Parents come pick them up, and the parents donate to the temple instead of giving all your money to Uncle Sam. I'm telling you, man, it's that easy. And we buy one of these buildings in the city that's just waiting for us to change it and put the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School and Community Center right on the front. I'm telling you, it's waiting for that. And then all the extra stuff that can happen with the information that I know, we just put people in position to apply for certain things and people to see how community can change. But with that being said, man, I love y'all. Thank y'all for listening to me ramble for a minute. Peace out. See y'all Saturday evening and Sunday. Peace. Peace.